Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be setting up my budget calendar here for the month of August in the Budget by Paycheck workbook. I'm also going to be setting up my July 24th paycheck budget, which is paycheck number 1 of 2 for the month of August. I'm also going to be testing out these gel pens that ParKoo did send to me. They are not sponsoring this video or anything, but they did send these pens out to me so that I can try them out. And I thought that I could use them to color code in my budget planner. I usually use highlighters to color code. I used to color code before with pen, but I found that it just takes up too much time. But since I wanted to test out these pens, I went ahead and tried to color code with them. I will talk more about these pens later on in the video when I do a pen swatch, because I wanted to test out all the different colors and see which ones would work with certain budget categories. So later on I'll do a pen swatch. And for filling out the dates in my calendar, I'm just using the black color. And so far it's pretty smooth. Since I like to budget bi-weekly and I don't use the entire month as far as tracking my expenses, like say from August 1st to August 31st, I do like to include my paycheck budget from the previous month. So there you saw me write down the dates for the last week of July, because the paycheck budget from July 24th is included in my August budget. I hope I'm making sense. And I'm also making a note here on the very top as well that July 24th paycheck is part of August. And I also did color code my paychecks as well, so that I know that that certain paycheck, let's say the one's in orange, it says payday and it's in orange. Anything that I write down in orange that needs to be paid for will be paid for from that paycheck. And I learned this method from the Budget Mom ever since I started watching her and following her. I've kind of adopted this method as well. Before in the past, I would color code my bills according to type. So I would color it by debt, anything house related, car related, anything for the kids, like bills and stuff like that for the kids or whatnot. We used to pay tuition before for daycare, so that was color coded in a different color. So yeah, that's kind of how I color code here in the monthly. I do the same thing with my highlighters as well. The paycheck that takes care of most of the higher bills is usually the ones towards the end of the month. And sometimes this will change throughout the year because of the pay period, but usually the paycheck towards the end of the month pays for rent as well. So that's pretty big. And I find that usually in the middle paycheck, like for this one, I would say the second paycheck for August, which is August 7th, will usually tend to save the most. I have to try to remember if I need to save money from that paycheck to make sure I carry it over to the next paycheck to make sure that we're good, so that we have some wiggle room for our allowance. So, but lately, since we have paid off a lot of our debt, I find that I don't need to do that as much. I kind of have been making sure to save money from previous checks just so we have enough room for savings, just so that I feel like I'm not depleting our paychecks entirely, I guess. So that's what's been happening with our paychecks lately. As far as events and important dates for the month of August, my son does go back to school August 26th. Technically, he's not going physically back to school. We are completely distance learning. And I believe we are going to be receiving an email from the school August 10th on how that's all going to go as far as the process, because I believe they did make it a little bit more cohesive with the other schools in our district from the sample that I saw. And they also provided a way for us to check in, making sure that we're attending class. So there's like a daily sign in, like basically taking attendance. I have been working on a solid morning routine lately so that when August 26th rolls around, I'm not rolling out of bed with my kids, and making sure I have time to prepare myself before we start our school day. So yeah, that is pretty much it about school. The other exciting date for the month of August is that my husband and I will be celebrating our 5-year wedding anniversary. I believe we're just going to be picking up some takeout and then just enjoying a quiet evening at home. We don't know if our kiddos are going to sleep over our in-laws just yet, but if anything, we'll wait until the kids fall asleep and then we'll catch up with the movie or something. As far as goals go for this month, I do want to pay off our school loan. We have a balance of about $1,731, which I think went down because there was just a payment that went through, one of my auto payments. And then I also have a goal to have a no takeout week, which happens to be this week that I'm filming right now, or I'm editing this video. So far, it's been great. And then the other one is to not go over food budget, which is the reason for number 2. So yeah. Anyways, on the back side here, I wanted to show you guys if there was any bleed through with the pen. It did not bleed through, but you can see a bit of a shadow or some shadow. I am pretty heavy-handed when I write, and then the indentation or the shadow that you guys saw was from me coloring in the letters or doing a little bit of lettering. So yeah, that was what that was. And then here for the pen swatch, like I said, ParKoo did send these to me for free, which I'm grateful for because I love testing out pens. And these are actually pretty affordable. They're $8.99 for a pack of 14 pens. And I looked on Amazon for some similar gel pens, and there are some for like $13. They're roughly about $13-14 for Inkjoy, zebra pens, and big pens that I saw on there as well. These actually write pretty decent. I did find that some of the pens do kind of skip. They are pretty smooth writing, but there are some times when I write that it kind of skips. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but I think it's also in the way that I hold my pen. If I hold it upright, it prints just fine, but sometimes when I write towards the side of the pen or like the side of the tip of the pen, that's when it kind of skips a little bit. So maybe it depends on how you hold it. And I don't know if you just saw right there that as I was writing, the tip of the pen came apart from the barrel. I think that it was just loose because when I twisted it back up, it still felt kind of loose, like it didn't screw on quite right. And later on, I ended up putting washi tape on it because the pen still writes fine. I'm not gonna just disregard it because that little mishap. So moving on to the colors of these pens, they all write pretty well, like I said before, and the color options are actually pretty nice as well. And the only thing I tend to not use as often whenever I have colored pens are the yellows. I maybe use them when I am highlighting or color coding or lettering. So for the most part, the yellows tend to get left behind. And that's why I use the medical dental category for this swatch because, or for this budget, because I know I don't use it often. So that's why I left that to that category, or the yellow for that category. Here I also do a highlighter test as well, because since I do like to highlight, I think these are important. I don't like it when highlighters smear, or I don't like it when highlighters smear the ink. So I don't know if it's in the highlighter itself or the pen, but I have used those mild liners before with other pens, and I find that it smears. Like for some reason with my Muji pens, no matter how much I let it sit and dry, it still smears. So for this one, I think it actually did pretty well. It didn't smear. If I don't get to color code throughout the entire budget, I will for sure use that black color to write and then highlight on top of it. So moving on to my August 1st, or not August 1st, for my August, my paycheck number 1 for the month of August, which is July 24th paycheck. I am using the actual numbers from my husband's paycheck and the leftover amount from the previous budget, since I am filming this a little bit later. And I'm also using my Fudget app as well to help me write out everything, because as you guys know, all of my budgets are already in my Fudget app, and if I need to edit it, I go ahead and just do it before I write it out. And like I said earlier, I was going to try out color coding with the pen, and this just reminded me of why I stopped color coding with pens, because I felt like it was taking a lot longer compared to just using one solid color and then just highlighting it. But I will for sure find a way to use these pens. I've had color pens in the past and I've just run out of ink and haven't really repurchased any of them. So I am for sure going to use these up because I think the pens are just fine for me. And also, I'm not really picky with pens, but I do find that if I'm not comfortable writing with the pen, I tend not to write with it. And these ones write, or for me, they write pretty comfortably for me. Or I don't think I'm saying that right. It feels comfortable to write with this pen. yeah, so there was only one pen, I think, in the last year or two that I purchased that it's kind of expensive. It's one of those Pilot Dr. Grip pens, and for some reason, I don't like the way I write with it, or I don't like holding it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm weird. But anyways, moving on to the budget. It's nice to see that I don't have a whole lot of debt left. The debt that I have on here is just my school loan, which is that Navient payment. And then I do have my Capital One card still open, and we're not using it right now, but there is a $5 fee every month. I know it sounds crazy to just keep it open, but it's my longest credit card, or the longest card I've had. I've had it since I was 18 or 19 when I first went into college. So I'm afraid that if I close it, that my credit score is going to go way down, and we're trying to apply for a mortgage within the next year or two, and I don't know. I'm just still unsure about closing that card. As far as the variable budget goes for this paycheck, I did set myself up, or our family up, for a no takeout week. And so far it's been working out great, but we are also pretty stocked up on food, which means that I pretty much used up our food budget to stock up on food. So hopefully everything goes as planned and I don't go over the $250 for 2 weeks. What I also wanted to start doing with our variable spending budget is to try to challenge ourselves to cut back, whether it's like $10 per variable budget or even more, especially with our food budget. I think I've just gotten comfortable with that $250 amount, which I pretty much do every single budget. If not, I do like 300, but I really want to try to challenge ourselves to see if it's realistic for us to go lower, so that way we can use that extra money to save or put towards debt. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about lately. And as for sinking funds for the month, or not for the month, but for this paycheck budget, I have our Hawaii trip, the TBM wallet slash, or not slash, and the budget by paycheck workbook, our car fund, fun and events, and then for Christmas, I think I just left out my son's dentist on there, and then I feel like I'm missing something else, but yeah, that's what we have so far, and I think that totaled up to $300. And then I also do want to make an extra debt payment this month for, or towards, my Navient student loan. I did get something in the email from Navient saying that I don't have anything due until February of 2021, which I thought was kind of odd. I don't know if it's because I've just paid up too much and they want me to stay on schedule. As of right now, I'm scheduled to be paid off by June, or it was June or July of 2022. And I was like, no, we're going to be done by August. That's the goal. So yeah, I got to look into that and make sure that if nothing gets auto paid, or if it doesn't get taken out of my checking account, I have to make sure to go in and pay it off myself, or make a payment myself. So, which I'm pretty sure will be paid off anyways, even before it's due next, because it's usually due on the 21st. Hopefully everything goes as planned. So if our budgets go according to plan, the leftover amount that we have left to budget out is $100. And usually I will wait until I close out the budget to either make that transfer to one of our savings accounts, or I will roll it over to the next budget. Moving on to these expense trackers, which is my new budget BFF, I feel like, because as I update my expense trackers in my budget by paycheck workbook, I go ahead and update these trackers as well, because they give me a running balance of what we have left in each budget category. I use the expense tracker in the budget workbook as like a check log. I think I said that last time. That's just to check and make sure that my checking account is balancing out. So for these expense trackers, I'm using it to make sure that we are not going over budget. Yeah, so far I'm really loving these expense trackers. If you guys are interested in these specific expense trackers, you could find it on the Budget Mom's website. It is for free. I also decided to laminate these since I know I was going to be using them all the time. Since I do budget bi-weekly, so instead of printing them out, I decided to finally invest in a laminator and laminated it, and just using an expo marker here to write on them. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.